with all these land grants that are around the state, one thing is clear. We don't own them anymore. Nobody owns them anymore. Either private people own it or the state owns it. What makes ours a little unique more than anybody's is that the state of Texas owns our land. They outright own it. Okay? 99% of all the other land grants in Texas are owned by private people, not by the state. And the difference is that we sit in a whole different category than a lot of other land grants. And that's the reason why. And this is the reason why the state of Texas is taking very extraordinary measures to work with us. And what I mean by that is that everybody knows what adverse possession is. That's when your land can be adversely taken because of you not being there, not paying taxes, whatever it may be. Your land can be taken away from you. And that's what happened to a lot of land grants in Texas. Adversity was taken away. Granted, it was done in malicious ways. It was done in ways that were very cruel. It was done in ways that people lost their lives. We all know the history, and there's people in these rooms, I think, that live through this history and can say they actually saw that and they know about that. Some of us don't. Some of us younger people will never hear about it. But there was a lot of atrocities that happened in South Texas with this land. And we all know it's there. And we know that the land was stolen, and there was a lot of fraud involved. A lot of fraud. Even with our land, there was nothing more than fraud. It was pure fraud that happened to our land. And we know that for a fact. We have the documents to prove it. We have the diaries to prove it of the people that did it.
El señor Papi nos dice que porque el estado de Texas está preocupado, pues sí debe de estar preocupado porque el caso que tiene la familia Galán contra el estado de Texas es muy diferente de que otros casos de otros land grants, que otras propiedades de Texas. La diferencia es de que esas otras propiedades están no gobernadas, sino son de negocios privados. La propiedad de la familia Galán es del estado de Texas. Esa es la diferencia. Y el señor Papi nos comunica que mucha de la gente que está aquí en esta reunión pasó por la situación y saben cómo el estado de Texas se apropió del terreno, de las tierras de la familia Galán, que fue casi cerca de un robo que se le hizo a la familia. Entonces, esa es la diferencia de por qué el estado de Texas está muy consternado, porque sabe lo que pasó, sabe que hay los documentos, sabe que hay los diarios de las mismas familias que escribieron día con día cómo estas tierras se les quitó. Entonces, por eso ahorita el estado de Texas verdaderamente está pensándole, porque es mucho lo que pueda perder el estado.
Okay, now let's go back to the adverse possession. Now you say, okay, what's the difference between the adverse possession of private and state? The difference is, we all know what eminent domain is. If they want to go to your house here in Elsa and say, we're going to build a highway through here. We want to buy your house and we're going to pay you market value. And you're like, no, you're not going to take my house. Eventually, they're going to take your house, no matter what. And they're going to pay you market value or a little bit more, and they're going to knock down your house and build a highway, right? We've all seen that happen. The difference that happened with us is we had that happen. Basically, the land was taken by the state. So you could say it was adversely taken by the state. Now, the state can adversely take land, but they either have to pay for it or they have to take it to public use. One of those two things have to happen. If one of those two things do not happen, the land cannot be taken. And what happened with us, it was taken. It was taken because of that. And when that occurred, this is where Galán lost their land. Now you also have to remember, we have what's called the Balconcitos on top, and we have the Palafox on the bottom. The whole top part that says Balconcitos, right now, if what we're looking, we have no claim to it. because that all belongs to private people. The western or the eastern part of the Palafox, private people. So we're looking at about 220,000 acres gone, completely gone. We have no recourse on it. That belong to the Martins, belong to the Briscoes, belong to the Gardners, belong to the Johnsons, belong to whoever. And we all know those names. They're very powerful people in the state of Texas and some of the wealthiest people in the world.
Le vamos a, el señor Barbie quiere explicarles, todos estamos, que sabemos los que estamos aquí en los Estados Unidos, que puede venir el gobierno, es el Estado, y decir, tú vives aquí, pero aquí voy a pasar un highway. Entonces el Estado puede decir, ¿sabes qué? La semana que entra ya empiezo la construcción, te doy lo que vale la propiedad en los libros. Y tú puedes decir, no, pues yo no la vendo porque pues, por dónde me voy a ir y por qué me van a quitar mi casa. Porque hay una ley que se llama eminent domain. Y puede venir el Estado y quitar. O sea, te van a pagar lo que el Estado, o sea, lo que vale la propiedad en los libros y a tumbar casa. Entonces, nada más hay dos maneras que puede hacer eso el gobierno, o sea, el Estado. Una, la que les acabo de mencionar, que se les pague por quitarle esa propiedad. Tienen que pagársele. O porque lo van a usar para el público, para el bienestar de todo el Estado. Nada más, no nada más de una unidad, una compañía o lo que sea. A la familia Galán no se les dio ni un 5. No se les compró, no se les negoció algún dinero y no se está usando para el beneficio de todo el Estado. Ahora el señor Barbie explica que ya se perdió mucha de esa tierra. ¿Por qué? Porque ya la adquirieron familias privadas. Todo lo que es el norte del área que ya ustedes ya conocen, todo lo que es el este del área que ustedes ya conocen, esas tierras ya pertenecen a familias privadas. Entonces eso ya como quien dice, eso ya se perdió. Entonces, nada más les queda ese pedacito, no es un pedacito, son 67,000 acres. Es lo que les pertenece a la familia Galán, ahorita que tiene el Estado con ellos.
Okay, the 67,000 acres she's talking about is what we call the eastern part, or the western part of the Palafox, which is for the Rio Grande, it's called the Rio Bravo at that time, but the Rio Grande backwards. It goes to the Galvan Ranch. There's a line drawn down it. That land there is completely owned by the state of Texas. They have full 100% mineral ownership of that land. Complete ownership. Now what they have done, they have split that ownership with the private people that live on that land. But that has no bearing on us, because the state went into negotiation with those people. Those people know exactly what they have. So what the state did is they cut a 50% split with those people on that land. So basically, when any royalties come in, the state gets 50, because they're the mineral deed holders, and the people that live there get 50% of those royalties. So the state of Texas cuts those people a check every 30 days, 90 days, whatever it may be, a check of royalties, okay? Since those people are there, we have to think about, what do? Do we go after the private people, or do we go after just the state? Right now, the way we're looking at it, we go after just the state. And you're probably saying, why? We own 100% of it. Well, the reason why is the people that live on it are the people that I named. Those people still are on there too. And if we go back in history, back to the 1930s, 1940s, the Galán people have been in cases before. And because of that, we kind of know what can happen if we do things wrong and incorrectly. And we know that those people have a lot of money, a lot of money. And those people have kept us in court for years until we run out of money, and then we have to drop our case. It's happened 2 times already. And because of those 2 times, the Galan family lost a lot of money and never got anywhere. So we don't want to repeat what's happened in history before. So this is why we're being very methodical in the way we're doing things and the way we're handling things. It's very important.
Y ahorita voy a tratar de explicarles todo lo que el señor Pablo acaba de decir. En las propiedades, los 67,000 acres que pertenecen a la familia Galán, ahí hay familias, o sea, hay gente viviendo que el estado de Texas negoció con ellos para que pudieran estar en esas propiedades. Ahora, toda la propiedad de la familia Galán es mineral, o sea, petróleo y otros minerales. El estado de Texas le manda el 50% de lo que se utiliza, o sea, el mineral que sacan de allí, le manda el 50% a estas familias privadas. Y el estado de Texas se queda con el otro 50%. Ahora, la familia Galán está siendo muy metódica en la manera de que se ve este caso, en la manera de que se sienta esta demanda. Y se pueden preguntar, ¿y por qué no nada más el Estado estamos peleando con el Estado y no estamos demandando a las otras personas o gente privada que está en la propiedad, que es de la familia Galán? El señor Papi explica que eso ya se ha hecho hace 2 veces ya. Estas familias que están en la otra porcentaje de la propiedad Galán son de mucho dinero. Millones y millones y millones de dólares existen entre esas familias. Y ya se ha hecho el intento de pelear esas propiedades 2 anteriores veces, en la cual la familia Galán quedó sin un 5. Todo el dinero que tenía, me imagino, ahorrado, la familia Galán se perdió en esas 2 demandas anteriores. Entonces, ahora se tiene que ser muy metódico todo, porque existe la posibilidad, o sea, antes pasó. Entonces, quieren nada más estar seguros y tener todas las negociaciones y ser muy metódicos en esas negociaciones, para que no vuelva a pasar lo que pasó 2 veces antes.
Okay, so we say we don't want the same things to happen in history, which we don't. And that's why we're being very methodical in the way we do things. So, as I said, we know we own 100% minerals, but we're going after 50% of the minerals at this time. What we have backing us right now in our case, and what we have, is we have 8 Supreme Court decisions that have happened since 1954 to 2002. In the U.S. Supreme Court, there's been 8 cases that validate our case. 8 separate rulings that validate exactly the case we are presenting to the state, that have been validated all over the United States. 2 of those have been validated here in Texas. Now, I don't know if you know, in Texas there has never been a U.S. or a state Supreme Court ruling ever overturned in the state of Texas. Why? Because Texas likes to think they're the best. So there's never been one overturned. So when we present ourselves in court, if they want to go to court and say we want to fight, it'll be very odd that happening, because they would actually have to overturn 2 Texas Supreme Court rulings. And that's never happened, like I told you, since the courts have been around in Texas. And we have 2 state decisions that validate what we're doing right now. So we feel very comfortable on that in how we're handling this. And because of that, we've also have seen some things, because of how we're handling it and what we're doing, some things that have gone negative for our family. And I'm going to let her translate this part, and then I'm going to go to the flip side of what's been happening in the past couple of weeks. Okay?
Nos explica que se pueden pensar, bueno, pues el Estado y nos va a pelear igual que las familias privadas, el Estado también puede pelearnos el caso, la demanda. Él nos explica que ya ha habido 2 decisiones de la Suprema Corte del Estado de Texas que está a favor de lo que la familia Galán está haciendo. Y se